Hey YouTube, my name is Joshua Goodpastor. I'm an employee here at Golem Games, and I will be running the D&D session today. They are running in a homebrew world, a project of mine that I've worked on for 2 to 3 years now. It's kind of a Fallout steampunk fantasy mixture. There is a novel coming for it sooner or later.
My name's Anthony Brown. I enjoy nature. Of course, I enjoy D&D. Yeah, I've been playing D&D since about last November. I started in a small group, and I've played a couple campaigns, and now I'm in this one. And it's been fun so far. About, say, 20 years ago, there was a village that was set back off the coast of a country I can't quite remember. My mother told it to me one time when I was very young. She lived there. She was the only human. It was very difficult. She was constantly berated. One day, a large group of slavers came and they raided the town. They captured everybody. There was no casualties, but everyone was bound and sold. My mother, however, was raped by the chief, Erg blood drinker, and that led to my birth. I'm Grim. I was born on the SS blood drinker. That was a very well-known slaver ship in a country that, again, I cannot remember. But one day I was out on the ship and everything seemed pretty cool, but then we got raided. Everyone was killed but me and my mother. I watched my father get killed, headshot. Kind of hardened me. I was enslaved with my mother. We stayed together maybe a couple months on a ship, barely fed, barely watered, but we lived. We got to a port city. It was very large. It was very scary, actually. I was a young child. I was about 8. But my mother, she got sold, and as she was being crawled away, a very good Samaritan saw my plight, and he purchased me in hopes of giving me a decent life in spite of, all of that. So he raised me, he trained me in the hills of Blackmore at this large mansion known as the Manor. It's very important around there. It's dates back to around the beginning of man, I believe, was when this place was built. It's constantly refurbished every few years. One day, I was about 19, and Gable, that's the noble that purchased me, he raised me from, 8, and we've known each other a long time, and he considered me family. So there's this little thing, this ritual they have where the next heir to the manor, they go off on a journey of self-worth, and what you do is you just kind of find your own path. You find yourself, basically, and what you want to do with the rest of your life. And, I felt honored, and of course I accepted, and now I'm off on my own. I'm just adventuring.
In your backstory, you were talking about how you were from the Blackmores, the mansion, right?
Yeah, the manor.
Where would you have gone from there?
I just, I never really traveled myself, so I just assumed north. Why not?
So you headed north and you went for how long? You were taught how to fight, you were taught how to take care of yourself.
Like, I was always, when I was younger, I have a daily training regimen that I keep up. And, like, after he approached me about the whole, find your own path thing, he started teaching me more, like, survival things.
Like, don't eat the yellow berries.
Yes, basically.
Then don't mess with the rattlesnake.
What to do, you see this plant, if you got a cut, rub it in it, it'll make it a little better. Keep it from getting super infected, if anything.
That makes sense. So eventually you're gonna hit a town. I mean, you've gone through several towns, not really made any friends. You're just trying to find your own path.
Yeah.
And it's gotten late, and you are pretty much tired of traveling all the time. You have enough gold finally to settle down in a town for a couple days and sleep. In this town, you're gonna find a tavern. The town's name is Bartnos. Let's put that over here. Bartnos. And it's a small village. 50-ish people, maybe 80 at most. I mean, it's very small. And it has a history of bandit issues. There have always been bandit clans fighting over this being their turf. And, you know, the gang fighting issues of life. So in the village of Bartnos, you have this tavern. This tavern is called the Weeping Weasels. I came up with this last night. It is known for its liquors. Well, they call it liquor, you'd call it moonshine.
Okay.
They call it liquor, trying to make it more fancy, but
I'm from the hills.
You're familiar enough to know that that's not liquor, that's moonshine. Big difference. But to common folk, they wouldn't know the difference.
Alright. The peasants.
This tavern is not like my usual taverns. The door's located on this side of the tavern. There is a staircase going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, going up to the second floor. And the second floor isn't a big deal. It's just simple floor with bedrooms.
Basic Oblivion.
Bedroom.
Basic Oblivion tavern.
It has a communal table on this side of the bar. Kind of a meeting place for adventurers, gatherers, gamblers. That is actually currently rested and empty. The tavern keep, his bar actually takes up less of the room than most bars would have. This is an inn, so they're prioritizing room space over liquor at this point. But he stands over here and serves his alcohol, and his wife and 3 daughters run the establishment. The cooking happens in a backwards extension of this place. And it's just a small little fire pot. It's Skyrim logic. It's just a little pot over here, and you pretty much wouldn't even bother with it. There is a long table found dead center in this place. Probably used as a communal area for people to talk, friends to get to know each other. And a booth and a booth that are conveniently out of the way of the door. When you enter, you see most of the people, since they do know each other, are gathered around this table. That table, like I said, is vacant at the moment, and the barkeep is pretty happy. He is a human, brown hair, estimating around 40-ish, which is pretty old for this era, but it's not that bad.
So I approach the bar.
Hello. And he greets you. What would you have?
Well, what would you suggest? I'm new to these parts.
I would recommend the local brews.
How much?
A few silver pieces per. You give him 2 gold, and he kind of grins at you, and he gives you a glass and says the rest are on for the night. You're good.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's more than enough, sir. And he ushers towards one of the booths, and you can have a seat. There are stools at his bar. You can sit at his bar if you wish.
Right there. Back corner.
And so yeah, he's generally a happy chap. And it goes well. I mean, the tavern fills up in a couple hours as everyone's getting off from their daily jobs. Lumberjacks, tanners, so on and so forth. And the tavern will come in, the priest will come in, and it'll fill up with people here and there. Eventually you'll get those mysterious people that sit in the back areas. But the tavern eventually will fill up enough. This is one of 3 taverns in this area. They all small taverns, so it's okay for them to share patrons. And they all stay generally afloat. The sun is coming down. Ale is all yours for the night. You gave them more than enough money. So, you're in the tavern.
I guess I'll get up and I'll move from this table.
see if I can. They have a gambling game going on. It's similar to Liar's Dice. They take 3 6-sided dice, obviously made out of wood, and they roll them, and they're all betting on who has the most of a number. It's a variation on Liar's Dice. So it's a peasant version, so they literally are just calling out any numbers they can until someone says liar. You do note that one of them has polished dice, probably made of ivory, which are fancier than the rest of their wooden dice, and their mugs that they're using. Like little Nazi cups. Yahtzee cups.
So, what's this?
It's dice.
Dice? This doesn't look like any old dice I've seen.
They're fancy dice, I'll give you that. Traded off my third child for these.
Ah. So you gamble off them?
Yeah.
I'm not much of a gambler myself.
I don't have any children.
Me either.
And he kind of nods. Sit down for a game, lad?
I guess. I fancy a game.
And he passes you some wooden dice. Like I said though, you don't really grasp the entire concept of the rules.
No.
As far as you can tell, they are just rolling and calling out numbers. They hide it, and he goes first. He says 2 3s.
2 6s.
And he's gonna call you a liar. You reveal dice, and not 2 6s. Too bad you didn't put any money on that one.
Nah, true.
Says, tell you what. And he puts out 3 gold. He said, this is my week's wages. I'll put it up and match it.
Okay. I'll raise you 3.
And he rolls the dice, and he says 2 6s.
2 3s.
I'm gonna call you on that one, buddy. And you have learned that you're not that good at gambling.
No.
He kind of laughs, claps on the shoulder, and says, have you gotten a room yet?
No. I'm not sure if I'll be boarding here.
Barkeep, get this boy a room! And he pays for your room.
Well, that settles where I'll be boarding for the evening.
And he kind of nods. Yeah, this is the finest tavern in the area. The other ones aren't as great, and they have pests. It is to know, of course, during this era, all taverns have pests. But, you know, they still complain about the usual stuff.
So, what time is it?
In modern terms, it would be give or take 11 o'clock. It's night. It's definite night.
Tavern's still pretty alive.
Pretty alive, yeah. Most people get off around 7-ish, 8-ish.
So, I'll leave the gambling table on the side.
I should say. It was kind of floating. Oh, like, okay. So you're gonna try to meet some people.
Yeah. Talk to these people. Hello. Fair maiden.
She kind of looks at you weird.
Oh, okay.
Half-orc sat down at her booth. She's kind of weirded out.
Okay.
And then he introduced himself very casually. Which, again, would freak out most people. Except for the men, of course, who just don't care.
Alright, so this is a female as well?
That one is actually not. It looks like it's a cloaked man.
Oh.
I just ran out of miniatures.
Well, then, sit down. Hello.
He kind of grunts and nods at you.
My name is Grim. I offer a drink.
So Grim orders an ale and starts questioning the ranger. He asks where he is from. The ranger merely smiles a bit and replies, the northern mountains. I'm a hired hand. I travel a lot. The orc then inquired as to whether or not he was an adventurer or a mercenary, even though he had already answered this question. But the man merely replied with, is there a difference? The orc said, yes, there is. The cloaked man smirked and said, I'm more of an adventurer who appreciates a good paycheck. The orc then replies with, I'm also an adventurer. After discussing their travels, or lack of travels in the orc's case, as he's just beginning to adventure, a bird interrupts their discussion, and the man must leave. Grim takes this as his cue and goes upstairs to rest. Thud, like a heavy object being shoved against an object downstairs. Grim investigates the thud and finds 4 bandits roughing up the tavern keeper. Table has been destroyed. 2 of them have helped themselves to an ale. One thug slams the tavern keeper against the wall. "You're late," he says. "You owe us our money, scum." Before the tavern keeper can reply, Grim called out, "What's going on here?" The apparent leader smiles and says, "This man owes us 75 gold. Are you gonna pay his debt?" When the orc replied no, he said, "Well, stay out." Grim is then grappled and pinned against a wall. "We can't just let him leave, boss, can we?" The orc looks at the thug holding him against the wall and says, "I didn't see anything." He pleaded this, and the bandits released him. He returned to his room and slept, ignoring the encounters of last evening, and the next morning he helped clean up and then headed out to go find the bandits' keep, hoping to rescue the tavern keeper's daughter who was kidnapped in that night. After tavern hopping from place to place, he learns that they are called the Bloodthorns, an evil group of mercenaries at war with the other group of mercenaries in town. He eventually finds them and is surrounded, and then gently escorted out of town, swords in hand. He follows the bandits back to their camp, finding them in a cave, and that is where he ends up.
Yeah, so I made it to the village, and I'm already in the middle of something that I really don't want to be in the middle of. But I kind of feel for the girl, so I'm going to try to save her, but it's looking pretty sketch. It's looking really sketch.
So, these caves were the main stone output for the village. I mean, these people weren't going around mining rocks, they were digging up through the caves. Some legends say that they were trying to find something in it, gems, but nothing valuable has ever been in these caves. As far as the village is concerned, it's just a really big hole. The dwarves that did this, they dug down mostly, almost a straight line. So when you actually when you actually find your way through the forest and you find the entrance of this cave, how far is your dark vision? Do half-orcs have dark vision?
I do have dark vision, I know that.
60 feet then.
Okay.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 60 feet. See to about there. So you will see it, it branches off.
Okay.
Generally halfway through.
So I walk in and I see the split.
There are burnt out torches thrown about the place, but you don't really see anything.
Okay, so I see the split. I'm like, left is, heads is right, tails is veins. So I'm going right.
Okay, so you go that way, and it circles around and comes to a point. And what you find at the end of this is it looks like they just put boxes in here. You find a bunch of boxes.
So I want to start.
Wooden boxes mostly.
I want to pry open one of these boxes and see what's going on with it.
You find paper.
Just paper.
Just paper.
I replace the lid.
Another one you find wax.
Okay.
Another one you find ink quills.
Ah.
And one box you actually find a small box of holy artifacts.
What kind of holy artifacts?
Religious symbols. Various deities. The way they're thrown about, you're pretty sure that the bandits put them here. Almost like they raided the wrong shipment.
Ah, well then, I kind of arrange them neatly and put them back. So I just kind of go back the other way.
The other way leads around, and one of them circles around the other way, and it forks again. Cave systems love the fork.
Right it is.
Deeper into the caves, you will find a large cavern.
So I kind of hug the wall.
You're hugging the wall, and you see...
I actually snuff out torches as I'm going by them.
None of them are lit. They're burnt out.
Mm.
And tossed about. There's actually a small fire in here. Not a big one. They're trying not to snuff out all their oxygen. Yeah. Be helpful if they stayed alive.
It's a cave. You gotta be careful.
They do have a small fire to keep warm. And they have sleeping bags. And more boxes piled up against the walls. Some of these boxes are overfilling with gems and stuff like that. And there's just 2 of them in this room.
Okay. So, I guess draw forth my axes and try to sneak up on...
You've got a stealth roll. They aren't actively looking, so you're against their passive perceptions.
Sneak up on this guy.
So you've got a stealth roll where he notices. You're not very sneaky for a half-orc.
No.
But you're trying. You're giving it your all. I need that. And I need one more of these dice, but I don't know which. There he is. And that should cover all of their stuff. That's a better monster than that. I was all worried for a minute. I was like, whoa, thugs have 30 hit points? I'm using the wrong monster. Okay, so you don't really sneak up on him. He draws his weapon and he sees you. Halt!
Oh,
And he's holding a sword towards you. He hasn't identified you as a threat yet. Most people don't know about these caves.
whoa, I was in here.
Bye!
The leader.
What's his name?
He doesn't tell me his name, I just get the gold.
He kind of glares at you.
I'm not worry about his name. He doesn't even know my name.
And kind of nods. That is true. Well, until we can prove you're not who you say you are, sit. And they sit back down next to the fire.
I join him at the fire.
Mm-hmm. And they're generally talking. From what you can tell from them, this group of bandits is not the most organized. They don't know who's who, really. So they're generally just talking to you about their last rape, their last butcher, their last conquering of a village, which you're pretty sure are blown out of proportions.
Yeah, so,
When he starts talking about how he slayed a dragon by himself, you're pretty sure he's drunk.
So I'm sitting there talking to him, and then, yeah, I actually just left a village raid myself. Killed 3 families by myself.
That's weak.
Weak? Nah, these were noble families. They had rifles.
Where's the rifles then?
The rifles? Well, they were shipped off elsewhere. You know how high demand rifles are.
And he kind of nods. You can tell he has no idea what you're talking about. But he's going to pretend he does.
Yeah, just a bit of a raider. Nothing too serious.
And he grunts. Well, we're on watch.
I can see that. You're doing pretty well, actually.
Nobody gets to the treasure past us.
No, not past you
You
guys.
can tell the boss that.
I'll definitely tell the boss that.
Nods.
Yeah, I'm pretty close with the boss. He's been having me do more jobs for him lately.
He's also been getting irritable.
He has. It might have something to do with that little girl.
Which one?
The one brought in from the tavern keeper that wouldn't keep his pay. Had to rough him up a bit for it.
Her. And he turns to the other bandit. Did she get thrown to the dog pits? And he should know. She was a pretty little gem. Probably sitting in his bedchamber for all we know.
Bedchamber in the caves?
That's what I said. But when he took that entire tunnel to himself,
I've only been in there once.
calls it his bedchamber. He also has a throne room.
Speaking of,
Greedy bastard.
He wanted me to get a sack of gold for him out of his bedchamber. Do you guys remember the wait?
after being asked where the bandit leader's bedchambers were, the bandit gestured left, to his tunnel to the left. And when Grim, followed up to the tunnel, he met 4 bandits, a bunch of boxes, and the carcass of an animal he couldn't identify after it had been butchered so much. No sign of the bandit leader. He returned and asked his friend if he could help him to the door. He was rather drunk, you see, and having a hard time finding his way. His friend bought it, followed him to the door, and Grim took it as his chance. He swung with his axe and completely missed it. Natural 1. His axe goes flying down the corridor. By the time the bandit knew what happened, he already had another axe going into him, as Grim held 2 axes at the beginning of this combat. His friend came up with a crossbow and tried to defend himself, but Grim quickly retrieved his axe and sunk both into the poor man's chest. Grim then looted, finding a bag of what he believed were Germans and gold, and left, being chased by guards, dogs, and bandits, as they were all the same thing to Grim, you see. He ran north, hoping to find a bigger city so he could find more friends, maybe more allies, and possibly rescue all the daughters that were stolen from the village. With his bag of what he thinks are gems, he continued north. At some point he stopped, looked in his bag, and admired his loot, and only to find that it was fool's gold and glass gems, obviously what the bandits were using as currency in their small little tormented village. And with this we end this chapter of Dungeons & Dragons at Golem. Hope to see you next week.
I'm scared. I'm alone. But I got a big bag of stuff. So I'm happy. But I'm scared.